Welcome back to the Pilots Lounge. On today's episode, we bring you the Memorial Day Muster, which was the Brotallion staff retreat that we had in Fort Walton, Florida over Memorial Day. We're going to share with you stories from some of the staff members and ambassadors that you haven't heard from yet, as well as talk about our goals and initiatives in the future with Brotallion and the Brotallion Blue Skies Foundation. Memorial Day is a very difficult weekend for a lot of people. And people process the losses that have occurred in their lives and the ones they've loved who have perished overseas in service to our country in different ways. Our goal with this event was to build our friendship and cherish those who still are by our side while remembering those who came before us. The legacies that they have left behind paved the way for our goals with the foundation in the future. And we will continue to say their name, and we will not let them be forgotten. From wherever you are at, sit back, grab your cup of coffee, and thanks again for joining us on the Pilots Lounge. Welcome back to the Pilots Lounge. On today's episode, we are joined by our amazing staff, friends, ambassadors, this time from sunny, well, not so sunny right now, Destin, Florida, where we got together for the Memorial Day Muster 2022. Similar to Austin, last year, we just didn't associate it with a direct Blue Skies Foundation event this year. We more so just took some time, got everybody away from work, got everybody out for a weekend to enjoy the weather, each other's friendship, and freedom here in Destin, Florida. So welcome. We have a number of people with us that were not here for the event last year, to include Hunter Carpenter, Austin Wood, his girlfriend Caitlin, Lance Randalls, aka No Handle Randalls. He's been on there before. Hunter Carpenter, his wife Amanda, and everybody else I believe was here last year. So without further ado, we can kind of go through some interesting things that happened this weekend. Kind of kicking off, actually, within like the last 2 hours, Brett actually got iced as he was getting into the shower post-gym, so that was pretty fun. Even though he didn't drink it immediately, he waited to get over here so there was proof of concept that he drank it.
Yeah, you know, I figured I owe that to you guys. Stepped away for a minute to try to get a quick pump and came back to the shower. Opened the shower curtain and yep, rest is history. But brought it back here. Saw a couple people get iced throughout the weekend and glad I got to participate in that.
Yeah, that was literally my intro. Was I showed up to Spencer's house and Hunter was like, "Oh man, did you see this bottle of Don Julio?" And I was like, "No, man, I don't think I've actually ever had Don Julio." Opened it up. I was like, "You guys are fucking assholes." Like, yeah. And then I think who did they get with the Don Julio the second time? It was Spencer.
I realized there was time before that.
Yeah. So the Don Julio was a pretty good one all weekend. So.
There's a couple left back at the house, so not everyone's off the hook yet.
But kind of going into a little bit more, I want to take the time to introduce you to people, putting personalities with names that you've probably heard as part of the Brotallion staff, ambassador family, and just some of our friends. We'll start with Lance Randalls. He has been on the podcast before in the Haydenhurst, also known, No Handles Randalls. He's been on the podcast before on the Haydenhurst episode, and he is our resident fitness expert. AKA self-proclaimed Greek god. And he is actually, I'll give him the time to talk about it, but he's kind of working on developing the Elite Aviator fitness progression and programming. And Lance, if you want to dive into kind of your background and what you do and where you're taking that program.
Yeah, do we know the history of no handles? Have I explained that?
No, I've actually.
I think that's still kind of an undisclosed mystery. So,
anything that has to do with actual sports? No handles.
Absolutely not. Extremely unathletic. 100%. So I thrive in the mental capacity sports where let's wrestle
like mathlon.
Nah, let's not get crazy.
Well, math. Okay. Anyway.
So any hand-eye coordination whatsoever, no handles.
Can't shoot a jump shot.
No, yeah, absolutely not. 100%.
What about like a soccer ball?
Yeah, so I sprained an ankle once, not in soccer, but in a competition. So that was the idea. The whole process through college, passing football. Frisbee, absolutely. So rowing.
Didn't touch the ball.
Didn't touch the ball though.
Cycling.
No ball.
Horse.
Yep. Sure.
Wrestling. No ball.
Play! Yes!
Watching the Tennessee-Florida game, absolutely.
What the fuck, dude? Like, they scored a run. God damn it.
In case anybody's wondering, or I don't have the time to edit it out, there's currently a Tennessee-Florida baseball game going on. And say again?
SEC championship.
It's the SEC baseball championship.
Needs a little bit of excitement. It's a squeeze bunt, and nobody's even cheering.
Anyway, Lance,
We're cheering now.
Lance, feel free to continue on.
We'll transition. So Elite Aviator, right? Obviously, as Brotallion, we've secured the ability. We've accessed an audience. We make great apparel. We give the ability for people to fit in the community, to represent their swag, to represent their unit, to submit, and so at this point, I kind of had an idea that I pursued as a curiosity: is how can we intercept the individual and improve? So what is an elite aviator to you? All right, what do you think about when you hear the word elite aviator? Obviously, academically inept. They're physically attuned.
Did
right?
you say academically inept?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a word, right?
Inept means like they're idiots.
So, okay, absolutely
In case
not.
you want to become a Black Hawk pilot or any other pilot in the U.S. Army, be a complete idiot and you will fit in just fine.
Which the majority on the daily questions, you'd be surprised.
I purposefully answer
As I
half of
swipe
them.
up, I'm very.
You heard it. You heard it here, folks. Inept.
Every single one of them.
In your defense, inept is absolutely a word. I just don't necessarily know it was the right.
Yeah, maybe I was describing the audience of Brotallion currently, right?
That's drunk.
100%. Yeah. This,
But no, I get what you're saying. So academically, have their shit together.
Sure.
100%. Or inept, either one.
So, what does define that mean? So as in a sense, are we attuned, right? In shape, a part of a community. So what can we do? Obviously, everyone's been a big fan of the daily questions. I think we've got a lot of feedback in terms of the positivity and the challenging part of that. So
I've been doing this for 10 years. That's the only reason I passed my A part, honestly.
And that's the piece behind it, is how do we offer a product, or at least a continuing program that we allow mentorship, we challenge you academically, maybe we offer some weekly workouts, some holistically, how do we improve an aviator as an individual? And so that's the idea behind it. We've got some things coming out in the next couple of months that are going to hopefully improve and enhance your journey as an aviator in the unit, pairing you up with a mentor, giving you access to workouts, giving you the ability to take general knowledge exams on a weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly basis, to essentially continue along your journey. So that's the idea behind it. Lots of stuff coming out, and more to follow from that. So,
I think a huge part of that, extremely well said. I think an interesting part of that is actually, if you think about what we talked about last year on the Welcome to Nashville, or, Austin episode, a large segment of that was talked about, our jobs, how they affect our stress, how they affect our personal lives, fitness, things like that, resources that are available. And I think the thing that's very interesting out of that is the Army has these holistic health people that work for the Army, and supposedly every brigade has one. But I do not feel like, despite that program being there, that they actively engage to produce results specific to pilots, per se, or specific to maybe it's better on the ground side, but I've really not seen that program utilized whatsoever. I've never really seen the coaches actively involved with those companies. Probably the people who do it best are the Thor coaches over in the special operations communities, who actually do work with different pipelines, different programs, units to assist people in becoming better at their craft, in physical fitness.
Absolutely.
Like
it's a holistic perspective, and those guys come in and they're professionals at their individual craft. But for the most part, H2F is very physical. They'll take your unit program and they'll craft it to make you a better athlete, but they don't understand the aviation piece. And most of the time, these guys get plugged into different units. And so learning how to specifically tailor their abilities to the unit they're attached to is somewhat of a challenge. And there's a lag time there. So what we do, I mean, now as Brotallion is like, we have the opportunity, we have the community, and we know what is required to pass your APAR. We know what's required to maintain your academic knowledge. Obviously, everyone has to take the ACFT. It's a requirement across the board. So what can you do now to train to exceed the minimum average? You know, are you getting up after the minimum standard, or are you continuing to progress on that? So it does approach it from a holistic standard. And so how do we offer that ability now to the individual instead of beyond the swag, beyond the ability to, you know, send in your unit crest and us make a model or whatever else? Like, what can we give back to the community?
One thing that I want to touch on with regards to that and kind of the fitness aspect is obviously, you know, Brotallion, as far as like the individuals involved in our company and stuff, are very big into working out and fitness and stuff. But from aviation as a whole, probably not the first organization that you think of when it comes to people that are super after it. It's kind of more of a ground guy mindset and stuff. It's like, oh, I don't have to be fit. You know, I sit in a chair in the sky all day or whatever. But I would challenge people to take a different perspective of that. And you think about all the different systems that we have to know about and that we monitor in our aircraft. And perhaps the most important one is like your fucking human system and your physiological system. And so that's one of the things we kind of accomplish with this is like taking a look at yourself internally, and the ACFT is a baseline, right? Like that's something like Lance said that you have to take every single year. You have to take it. They give you the answers to the test, like how well can I perform on this? And that's like a basic level. So we want to kind of prepare people to like, it doesn't matter if you're just getting started or if you've been training for 15, 20 years or you're a fucking, you know, college athlete. You have to be able to crush that. But moving past that, how do you best prepare your body and your mind for doing your job and the stressors that come along with that, kind of like we talked about in that last episode that we were all together. So that's my 2-bit on sort of the fitness aspect of this program. It's more than just like, hey, let's just go get fucking swole. Like there's a reason behind why we think this is important for the community.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a leadership aspect in that too. Currently right now, I had the privilege of taking command of Fox Company about 2 months ago, or rather 2 weeks ago. And within the company, we just started our initial ACFT, and being the individual with the highest score, it's kind of like, hey, if you surpass me, 3-day weekend or 4-day weekend, you know, whatever. And it's like, there's an incentive there to now, are you in the headlift formation, or are you kind of slacking behind, you know, like where do you fit? And where can you take the opportunity to be physically in front of the formation? And now there's a motivation, there's a leadership opportunity for mentorship.
No, I think that's a great point. And actually, Brett showed me something like 5 minutes ago that really makes me think of it. A lot of people who watch YouTube videos know who Grand Thumb is, aka Mike Jones. He's a Mike Jones. He's a he's a YouTube A-list star, and he's an active duty Air Force guy. Makes some amazing videos if you're into gun content, survival content, shooting content. You know, he's kind of like the go-to source for that. But he said something on his urban survival video, which actually I would recommend. Eventually, we are going to try to get him onto our podcast, but for all of the people who, you know, want to understand how to better prepare themselves for whatever environment, and maybe they don't have very good people at the unit level who have the background to be able to teach them basic field craft and survival things, I highly recommend you go and look at his different survival videos for different environments. But he said one in the urban environment video, talking specifically about near-peer things that are going on and the future of what fighting would look like. And he straight up said, he's like, if you are not fit, you are going to die 100%. And I think especially for us, like we all watched, it's kind of an elephant in the room. We've actually gotten some DMs about it, the whole thing over in Ukraine, but for us, it's a very real thing. And we look around the room and, you know, I know we have people in Europe, going to Europe, coming back from Europe, you know, and I'm not going to dive super into that, but there's a lot going on in the world right now. And we look at that and it's something that we all value together. And I think that that's something that really draws Brotallion apart and draws people to our community, is that we all value the same thing.
Yeah.
But
I think in investing in the community, how do we make the individual better? How do we improve the relationship among the community and bring people together? And that's kind of what these weekends are all about. And eventually that's the 2-3 year long-term plan is how do we invest in an opportunity for people to come together who want to better themselves, not only as an aviator, but as an individual, challenge themselves, be with individuals that are like-minded, that have the same type of struggles, that can improve one another, and then just enjoy it. And at the end of the day, maybe we go through some type of crucible event. Maybe we work out in the morning, and then we enjoy ourselves in the afternoon. We drink, we have a good time, we have camaraderie, we have friendship, and that's what it's all part about, you know.
I think we went through the crucible yesterday en route to Crab Island. We were all sitting here enjoying ourselves on a pontoon boat. Meanwhile, the tides of life decided to swarm the front side of the boat. The front of the boat began to submerge in water. And of all things that happened, you know, it was a true sign of immense friendship when none other but Hunter Carpenter decided that the first thing he was going to do, mind you, the water was about 3 feet deep, was to begin throwing life vests to everybody. So Hunter, I would really love to hear, you know, you talk a little bit about what this community means to you and why we were your first choice to give the life raft to.
Tell us your story about swimming in water too. It's badass.
I think at the end of the day, people are worried about the wrong things. Worried about cell phones and clothes and towels and stuff. The boat goes underwater, like I'm straight survival mode.
I honestly thought you were about to talk about something totally different. Yeah,
Dude. Boat goes underwater. First thing I'm doing is grabbing a life jacket.
No.
For a half second, I was like, I'm gonna put this life jacket on. Then I realized I was married. I better turn around and throw the life jacket on my wife. The next life jacket I was getting, we were jumping ship. Brett put the boat in reverse though. Helped us out.
Well, when he put the boat in, mind you, when he put the boat in reverse, as I look up, still at the front of the boat, knee deep in water, the engine's not in water until everybody ran to the back of the boat and reshifted the center of gravity to be normal.
It took me a good 30 minutes of solid drinking after that to get over the heart rate dilemma I went through.
So Hunter, I do. You don't have to dive too far into your background. We're really happy that you and Amanda are here. One thing I would kind of like to hear you talk about, or if you know, as much as you're willing to, kind of your decision, or I should say, the decision that was made between you guys for your transition to the Guard over to active duty, how that lifestyle change has been for you, because we every once in a while get people who hit up both, probably all of the pages, asking, you know, hey, I'm Guard right now, I'm looking to go to active duty, should I not? And I'm always like, bro, I don't fucking know, like I've never been Guard, like not my life, I don't know, and I'm not across the street to be able to give you any insight as to what the differences in that would be.
Pretty cool, because Morgan's sitting right here next to me drawing a. Show him what you're drawing.
What the fuck? So to describe this, it is a man in a suit with a butt for a face.
And a cyclops eye.
And a cyclops eye. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, Morgan hit me up about this, like, because last year, early winter, I was in the quest of navigating the HRC waters of the call to active duty program to go active duty. And Morgan hit me up and was just asking about kind of the same stuff. The biggest thing I can say is just get it started. I had a really good Guard unit, Tennessee Guard. I'm just going to take a minute to speak about those guys. Spencer's a current Tennessee Guard guy, like super proud and humbled to be a part of that group of elite dudes. Because they've mastered their craft in Tennessee. I don't know what any other Guard unit's like, but I can say that out of the great state of Tennessee, like we've done a really good job with our Guard program, and we support people through leadership, which is extremely rare these days, and it's just the whole overarching theme of leadership. But I would say, you know, the biggest thing is just take the step. Ask the right questions early. The right questions are, what do I need to do to, one, like benefit the unit that I'm currently a part of in order to like gain equity to get onto active duty if that's the case, because I think at the end of the day, people will run through a brick wall for you and give you the things that you want as long as you're loyal to them and are willing to be a team player on their end. So I think that just ask the right questions early. What can I do for you? How can I get myself onto this next state of my life? And just be a good dude. I think being a good dude will encompass a lot of that stuff, you know. If you're a good dude, people will support you, you know. The paperwork side of that is a completely different side of that. So just go to a Mill Per message and find that part out. But,
And he had shoes.
yeah. So
do you mind talking a little bit about how you came to know Spence, Brett, Lance? Because I'm pretty sure they were the first to.
great question. I met Brett first time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you already knew him. So kind of talk a little bit about how you originally came to know what is Lance, no handles, Randalls, or in Spence.
In the grand scheme of things, it's a super small world in aviation. So Amanda and my wife Amanda and Lance went to Bolick together in AMED. So they actually knew each other before I was even maybe in the Army. I don't know. For real. Yeah, I enlisted in 14. So
we were floating down a river, intoxicated, Lance
Yep.
and I. Yep.
So they knew each other before I had ever met anybody in this room. And so we went to flight school. Later on, I meet Amanda first. We get married. A couple years later, we come back for Triple C for Amanda. And I meet Lance. We hit it off, kissed a few times. Anyway, long story short, he brings me down to the beach. He can tell I'm good. I'm down for a good time. He brings me down to the beach. I wear a TriStar T-shirt to a bonfire with Spencer and Lance, and probably about 25, 30 yards. Throw a beer bottle into a big bonfire,
So it
and
was at least 40.
40 yards, and now we're all best friends in a room together. No, but for real, it's a super small world. It's kind of crazy to see. My wife knew one of my best friends long before I knew him, or the carry-on best friend from that. So I think that our relationship has been in the works for a while. Don't mean to be cliche. I think a lot of things in life are a God thing. I think that's one of those things where we just kind of find each other in the midst of all this chaos that is life. We go down to Florida together and have a shit fest, and now we're all best friends. But that's kind of how we met. And then I met Allie the same time I met Spencer, and then Brett this weekend. Everybody else in the room, kind of along the way. But that's pretty much it.
That's awesome, man. And you actually are now the you are now the operations guy for the Brotallion Blue Skies Foundation.
I am.
Talking a little bit about that, what you see yourself doing in that role, where you kind of want to take things.
So I'm not director of operations, a pretty hefty title for the work I've done thus far, which has not been a whole lot. But it means a lot to me. I kind of thought long and hard. I talked to Amanda about this. I want to be involved in the nonprofit world somewhere. I think my heart falls in Blue Skies just because of what we do as aviators. Is we're so gentle life. Our life is so fragile in that helicopter. It's you're a couple RPMs away from anything, that's the life. That's the life we live. And to me, the best people I know fly helicopters, dude. It's just what it is, and we've all lost buddies. We know somebody who's balled one up and have not been able to walk away. At the end of the day, it's not really even about them. It's about who they've left behind, what legacy, what's their family name, what's that name, that came first in their signature line. What's that mean? I think that we owe it to those people. we owe so much to those people. And in a culture these days where we tend to forget what a last name and what a handshake means, it's imperative that at the end of the day that good men do something. I'm not saying that I'm a good man or a great man, but like I think I'm a man, and I'll do something to help those people out. I can't, I'm not the smartest dude in the world. I'm not going to be able to write a board book up in 24 hours or be able to organize great events or get a bunch of donations. But I think that I have a passion. I think I have a passion for the mission, and the families that those guys left behind. And, it means a lot to me. It is what it is. Like, it means a lot to me. In any form or fashion of the digestion of the task, like, it means a lot to me. So I tend to put my passion towards that and just do what I can,
I don't think that could have been, I don't think that could have been said any better. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. We talked a lot about, we can take a momentary pause before we moved on. We've talked a lot about everybody's roles, but I think at the core of what this weekend is plays exactly into what you're saying, because our best friends are in the room. We all love each other. We all do this job. Exactly what you said. We are a 2-inch blade away from a problem. And
Plastic free bread.
yeah, and
Plastic
While-
fiberglass, but
while this weekend isn't a fundraiser, it's not necessarily one of those events. At the very core of why we're here is because of those people who we've lost, because of the legacies they've left behind, because we know that because of the life that we lived, and as much as we don't want it to be, at any point in time, something completely uncontrollable on any of our part could cause one of us to not be sitting in the room. And not to be doom and gloom, but it's exactly what you're saying. It's the reality of
I don't
what
think
we
it's
do.
doom and gloom at all, dude. I think like me and Spence and Lance, we talk about it all the time. We talk about how perception is that our generation is too soft, and I'm about to get on a little pedestal here, but like we talk about how our generation is too soft. I would never tell an Iraq or an Afghanistan war veteran that he's too soft. I'd never tell a guy who got his fucking leg blown off by IED he's too soft. I would never say that to somebody. And that's not the truth. The truth is, if that something ever happens to the homeland of the United States of America, there's enough good men that will fucking stand up and do the job that needs to be done in order to preserve liberty and freedom.
And women, for that matter.
Exactly,
Just heard from
100%.
women.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, my wife's a Black Hawk pilot who flies in the most dangerous areas of Afghanistan. Like, that means something to me, and I don't take that lightly. Like, we're too good of a culture, we're too good of a population to be put down as these people who don't mean anything, who like, we don't care about life, preservation of liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like, that's who we are at a core. Like, that's 100%. So I'm stepping down off my step
it's absolutely, I think, especially, I think outwardly, a lot of people don't really understand the true core of what Brotallion is and why we're here. They may see an outward perception of us having a good time out on a boat, and maybe don't fully understand, and they're like, oh yeah, they're just, like to party and produce, swag for people to wear, sometimes cheesy shit on their chest, or sometimes awesome fucking logos. There's
pussy t-shirts.
Yeah, butt pussy t-shirts. There's a wide variety. There's a wide variety out there, but not just myself, I think if anything can be imparted on the people who are looking at the community or are getting involved with the community, it's to help them understand that it's not just about a fucking t-shirt.
No.
It has really nothing to do with the t-shirt. That is a means to provide for something bigger.
Yep.
And Spence and Brett talked about it pretty extensively, I think, last year, and how they were able to impact the foundation through the actual Brotallion company itself, and kind of their goals with that. And we'll probably get into that at a separate time, but I really do appreciate you sharing your thoughts and everything with that.
Absolutely.
I would like to hear from your badass wife that you mentioned, and have her talk a little bit about herself and share her story. I think I put her on the spot a little bit, but it'll be great.
What are we talking about? Like where I started with my military journey?
Yeah, you can talk about what you do. You can talk about what you do, where you started.
Oh boy. All right. So here I am. Graduated college. I went to Indiana University Go Hoosiers.
Yep.
Love you, Spence. Yeah. So I joined the Guard. I think I was very uneducated on the military in general. And one of my best friends was a recruiter for the Indiana Guard, and she was like, "Let's do it." And I was like, "You know what? You're fucking right, dude." Like I wanted to join right out of high school. I got talked out of it. I had a scholarship. Whatever. Went to college. Had a good time. Anywho, 24 years old. Enlisted in the Guard, and in true Guard fashion, loved them, but paperwork was done wrong. So I was a private first class in basic training. So I was a private Sager, PFC Sager, living my best life. Private first class Sager. 24 basic training. Everybody else was like 17, 18 years old. It's a good time. I was definitely mom. It was a great experience. Left there and went to officer candidate school, accelerated officer candidate school through the Indiana Guard, where I got my ass handed to me, which was also a great experience. And then I became a med service officer. I was like I'd done some nursing classes prior. After I graduated, I've been a student forever. We won't get into all that. So I was like, all right, medicine, I love it, let's do it. Med Corps, Army, sounds great, Again, not doing any of my research. So I branched as a med service officer. I was a 70 Bravo. I could set up a field medical hospital, That's where I met. That's where I met Lance a lot, down at San Antonio. San Antonio is a great time. Met Lance there. We were in a med bulk together. I actually had a really good friend, Robbie Rose. Maybe he'll listen to this. He was going to flight school, or he had already been? I think he'd already been. Robbie Rose already been. He was wearing his he was wearing his dog tags, how the pilots used to wear them. And you know what I'm saying? Outside the uniform, tucked in, like, we're cool kids or pilots, And I was like, what the fuck, dude? You don't wear dog tags like that. Anyways, so that was my first experience to an Army pilot. That was it. That was Robbie Rose. And then I did that for a little bit. I was at annual training and saw a Black Hawk land. We were doing like some medevac training. I was a 70 kilo at this point, which is a medical logistics officer. Not doing anything. I was in a tent, dude. I was in a tent and I was doing some just logistics and medicine, really supply, fancy word for that. And a first lieutenant got out of this helicopter that landed, and I was like, I looked at my chest and I was like, well, I'm a first lieutenant. I was like, what am I doing with my life and my Army career? I'm like, damn, I really joined to like serve and have fun and do something great. And here I am like counting ibuprofen in this fucking tent. Anywho, so I was like, started asking questions. I was like, how do I become that guy? And they're like, oh man, you gotta put in a flight school packet. It's gonna be rough. It'll probably take a whole year. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. So I start looking into it, and they're like, and you probably won't get picked up for the board. You got a board. You got to go in front of people. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. A W-5, you gotta sit in front of a W-5, and I'm like, I don't even know what a W-5 is, like, never heard of her. But anyway, so no shit. I filled my flight packet out in 2 weeks, and I made the board, which happened 4 weeks later. And but all along, like, people are like, you won't be able to do it. There's not enough time. There's so much into it. There's just a lot of hard work. And I'm telling you now, like, if you want to go be a fucking aviator, just go do it. It's an application process. Everything in the Army, there's a regulation for it, and it tells you step by step how to make it happen. So there's step one. Okay, just read. Like, as long as you can read, you can do whatever you want to do.
That might be problematic because,
So this was still problematic.
mind you, most of us are academically inept.
Here we go.
So
My husband
just throwing
made
that
it.
out there.
My husband made it, and I'm just saying. All right, fast forward. Packets in. I boarded. I made it. I got accepted. Went to flight school. I was in the Guard, Indiana Guard, while I was in flight school. I was older at this point, right? As I mentioned, I joined late. I enlisted when I was 24 years old. I got kind of annoyed being pulled out of my civilian job and having to go back and kind of restart my thing, like where I was in my career progression. So I was like, I would really love the opportunity to go active duty. So, and then I started talking to this guy over here, Mr.
I do remember that.
Nick Yates. I was like, Nick, dude, you're from Indiana? He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, you're active duty? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you're a pilot? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, how do I do that? You know, like.
No, specifically, you were like, I'm trying to go active duty, and I was like, I don't know anything about. That was like circa.
But I'm like, dude, you gotta know though.
That was like what, 2014, 2015. I think I was still at Rucker.
It
might have been later than
Early
that.
2016. Early
Okay.
2016.
So yeah, I was pretty like I wasn't long out of flight school at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I wasn't too long. I
And
didn't know
honestly,
much.
that's probably more of the power of social media right there.
It was. That was actually before. I remember specifically at that time seeing Brotallion. I didn't really know a lot about it, at the time. What's crazy is I didn't start really having any involvement until like about late 18, early 19 with them. I just didn't really know much about Spencer or Brett. They were pretty centric to Tacoma and Washington, but I had a totally different social media at the time than what I do now. I used to get a lot of questions, and I realized really quickly, like I didn't know fucking anything, and I was like, I'm not the person. A little bit different.
But we held on. We're still
We
friends.
did, yeah,
Look at us
no,
here.
yeah, no. Here we are. I was supposed to be in your wedding. Different
Yeah.
story at a different time. But
Well, we might not ever talk about that later. Who knows?
true.
But
True,
here
true,
I
true.
am, knowing Lance and Nick, and we're sitting right here before I even knew my damn husband. It's crazy. But yeah, went through flight school. Went through the Call for Active Duty program, which Hunter was talking about earlier. CAD, they like to call it. It is. It's a pain in the ass. It's another paperwork trail. It's a lot of people telling you, hey, they're probably not going to accept you. You're probably not going to do the application right. But I'll go back to saying, like, there's a step-by-step process, instructions. It's like, step 1, put your shoe on your right foot. Step 2, tie your shoelace. Like, that's literally how dumbed down it is. But it's a lot. It's a lot of steps. It's like 150 steps, and you just have to take the time and you have to fill it out. And Hunter can probably go into that about, or anybody. I don't know if anybody else in this room, but like even the special forces, like the application it's 24 pages long, and that's before you start adding to it, So that's that. Anywho, I went active duty. I made it. I got stationed at Campbell. That was my first preference because Hunter was actually in the Tennessee Guard still. We were trying to stay close together. We were apart for a while. I went to Fort Campbell as a first lieutenant still. I was a lieutenant for 7 years. No big deal. Did a rotation in Afghanistan, learned a lot. I was the battle captain for about half of that. Took over Alpha Company 511 as a platoon leader. Loved every minute of it. Came back, went to Triple C, made a baby. Had a squish. Pat Nash, he's awesome. He's our life. But here we are, though. I will say that, like, I get a lot of questions about this, and maybe this might be a hot topic later on. I don't know, but there's so many individuals that have came into even my DMs on Instagram. I don't even know that are like, hey, I know you had a baby. I know you're an aviator. How was it? And that's another topic. But here I am. I made it. I'm flying.
I can
You
tell
can
you
do
how
it?
that works. I can tell you that. I have extensive knowledge.
Don't be against
baby
it.
making Hunter.
Don't be against it. It's possible. It's possible. It is 100% possible to be dual military aviators and have a family, and we're doing it, and we're living proof.
I think that's so badass of you, Amanda. Like, one of my mentors, Anna Carnell, she's down at Rucker, and I kind of got to watch her. Like, she found out she was pregnant, and like had her baby, but she flew. Like the flight doc was like, "Hey, you're good until like this point," and she was like, "All right, I'll be in that freaking cockpit when I can." And you probably did the exact same thing, and I think that's so badass. Like,
It's pretty cool, and it's pretty cool to actually like say that I still am an Army aviator. Like, I'm still doing the job, and I do have a 16-month-old. So
My wife's the toughest person I've ever met.
aww.
I met a lot of tough people in my life, man. A lot of people in this room that are super tough, but she's right. She's a mother and is in command. She came out of 3 months postpartum and is in command. People go in post.
I don't want to talk about
People go in command. People go in command. They stress out without a kid.
She's doing all natural too.
I mean, it's
natural.
I mean, seriously.
Woof.
Like, the toughest person I know.
IT.
I was looking for Tyler. Because she's talking about inventories. I'm like, you're gonna be all right, girl. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. Every month is like that. People think it's just the change of command. No. Every month you gotta do those damn inventories.
And by the way, for people that haven't seen Amanda, like, she looks freaking phenomenal. So like, some people don't like recover after having a baby. Like this woman, like, she freaking
Very
looks
nice.
phenomenal.
Very nice.
Why don't you describe her for us?
There it was.
Freaking hottie.
Big old boobs.
Oh my god.
Hanging out, you know.
Oh my god. Here we go. Anyways, so yes, I'm in command HHC. Coming up on 12 months. And I am about to take Delta Company for 5101 actually. So I'm doing my best to kind of stay around Campbell as long as I can without having HRC get involved with having to keep our family together, because Hunter's going to be there for a while. So I'm doing my best. It's possible. And yeah, I'm doing it. Loving life. Glad to be here.
That's awesome. Now, just so our listeners know, you're now a 15 Alpha, correct?
15 Bravo.
Or 15 Bravo.
Yeah.
Okay, post Triple C.
I was. So in the Guard, yes, I did go in as a 6-7 Juliet because I was a previous med service officer. When I went through the call for active duty, they were not accepting specialty branches, so I did have to rebranch to aviation.
So you went through Rucker Triple C, or did you?
The end of it.
Okay.
The end of it. Oh man, it's really hard to call that.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
So yeah.
But okay, cool.
Yep.
How has that been? So it is interesting, and I only say that because, for instance, I know Lance's med service. Granted, his experience is a little bit different because he spent time at Rucker teaching, and I would say his knowledge of like the .1 and shit like that is probably substantially different than most med service corps people, specifically to air assault operations, things like that. But
I would say the mission in a whole. It's a completely different mission.
right. And, I did not really know that until I was part of the med. Just the total differences in, 15 Alpha that goes to the med, I saw firsthand had a very difficult time when they spent all their, section leader time or whatever as a lieutenant in the med. And then they went over to the air assault community and they just were totally lost because Mission Tech, the entire focus is totally different. Because we get a lot of questions from people coming out of flight school and they're like, I'm a 60 pilot. Should I go to the med? Should I go to the assault? And to me, I never really know how to respond because until recently I had never been med. I had been assault and CAC my whole career. And I always tell them.
But even then you got the best of those though. Some
we
people don't
did.
get that.
We did. But what I tell them, and this is my personal opinion, and everybody will have a little bit different experience. I think the versatility of either the assault or CAC, honestly, is pretty beneficial. But unfortunately, the only people who do hoist operations outside of special operations community are the med. And I think, at the end of the day, I think the finite skills that you build as a pilot are there across the board. And what I tell people is you're going to go do training regardless of where you're at. Your value, like the value of your training is going to be the value of your training regardless of where you go. So challenge yourself. Just because you're in the med doesn't mean you can't go practice air assaults.
Absolutely.
And make time on targets and go do that stuff. So it really just depends on what that person wants to do and the effort that they're willing to put in.
Yep. And I would say, just to add on to that, Nick, so like even stationed in Afghanistan, so you always have a med unit attached to you, right? So we were swapping. We're like, hey, you guys want to come do an assault with us, and we'll get some medevac training on the other end of it. At the end of the day, we're in that aircraft. So.
And the other big thing, that we were talking about, not to dive into a soapbox, but we talk about this future fight, and in reality, I don't think it's going to matter if you're a med pilot, an HH, a UH pilot, whatever you're flying. Like everybody's going to be working to make mission happen, and just because you have a red cross on the side of your helicopter doesn't mean that enemy gives two shits about the fact that it's there, and that's the unfortunate reality of it. So I'd say to the people who don't really know which route they want to go, I think you're going to be fine either way. Just shape whatever you're doing to get the best out of it. Yeah.
Well, that and then but see
Yeah.
if you can get some of those experiences on your own though. Like I'm in an assault battalion, right? I can easily reach out to a homeboy over here who's in 6th Battalion and probably knows. Like I have an IP friend that's in the med. Like we can easily get together and do those trainings together. Like it's,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to limit yourself.
Well, cool. I appreciate you sharing that bit with us.
Did you say you're back up now?
Flying?
Yeah.
Oh,
Take you to get back up afterwards, just for like curiosity's sake.
And going to some of the, like,
Was there a
going
timeline
to some fitness
associated?
stuff that you did to like.
Yeah. So
dive
talk
into
about
Lance's realm a little bit on like fitness for mothers.
yeah. Talk about your process back from after
That's
having
impressive.
your
Okay,
child.
yeah.
Hard. I want-
So as far as the aviation piece, I unfortunately probably will not be able to speak on that too much because when I got back to the cab, they were actually in OAR and we did not have aircraft for me to even fly. However, I did come back up on an upslit fairly quick. I think we get 12 weeks of maternity leave in the military. I did take most of that. I got called back a little early to take command, and I was totally fine with that. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be back in the game. I can't sit at home. I'm just not that person. Going crazy. But as far as fitness, I worked out so Patton came 40 weeks in one day. And so I worked out that morning when I was 40 weeks pregnant. I worked out. I was deadlifting.
Doing box jumps.
I did the entire.
Process a little bit.
I did the WOD, and we Hunter and I do CrossFit a lot. It's just and Hunter's really good. I'm
CrossFit
not.
Sango, bam, bam, bam.
Like
Ryan Dang just got super excited.
Oh yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Yeah, he's got.
Hashtag
Steph
CrossFit
is really
Sango.
pissed that they're not here, by the way. He's actually at a CrossFit competition this week.
I have no
That
doubt.
sounds terrible.
Anyway, CrossFit Sango.
Sorry.
Anyways. So yeah,
That's why I like
CrossFit.
He's
CrossFit was a huge part of my pregnancy journey. I am not a good CrossFitter at all. I'll be the first to admit it. Any day. But however, I show up and I do the work. And when I was pregnant, I got up and I went to the 5:30 a.m. class every morning. And what kept me going was that I've heard all these stories about women that had to go on bed rest for whatever reason, whether it was for the safety of the child, for the safety of them, whatever. And so every morning I was like, this might be my last workout that I get. And I made it. And I made it until I was 40 weeks. And I did my last workout, and I went into labor later that evening. But I will say that I 100% think that working out and staying in shape benefited me and my childbirth, and just bouncing back regardless. I mean, I have pictures. You can talk to Hunter about it. Like I don't know. It was probably less than a month after I had Patton. You couldn't even tell that I had a baby, and I'm not saying that to boast. I think it.
I was in Nashville for dinner, like what, June of April last year?
In April,
And you looked
yeah.
like-
I was 2 months.
Yeah.
I was 2 months
No.
postpartum, and
Fresh
you
out of
guys
Playboy
were
magazine.
cheering me on. I appreciate it. I was leaking everywhere. I had to go fucking pump like damn, other
old
woman
boobs.
things, but whatever. No, so fitness 100% played a huge role in that. And then just because there weren't aircraft back does not mean that I wasn't. I did get back on my upslip. As soon as I took command, I was on an upslip. So if that means anything, it was 3
No, I
months
absolutely
after.
think it does because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who I think are discouraged, and I don't think it's any fault of their own. I honestly, I would say most of us have been there. It's a lot of your old school people who have weird fucking mentalities about it, and they're like, "Oh no, you need to take some time." When in reality, it's exactly what you were saying. Like you were ready, you got right back up, and you fucking killed it. And I think that's what matters. And I think people, obviously, I can't give birth,
No.
but I think people who are in that position. That's true. It is 2022. Maybe I could try, but I think that's very encouraging for people who are looking or want to have kids and want to do that, but they're worried about it being a detriment to their career.
No, a lot of it's mental. I'd argue to say about 85-90% of it's mental.
Yeah.
The other part of it is listening to your body. You have to scale your workouts, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't 8 months pregnant cleaning like I used to, deadlifting like I used to, like burpees. Like you obviously can't do those, with your belly in front of you. So, but the goal is to keep moving and keep your muscle strength and eating. You have to eat. Like you got to eat right. Nutrition. I don't know if we're getting into that. I don't know if you guys are going to bring that up at all.
Not today.
I mean, even
That's
in it, but
that's
holy hell, that
we could
talk for 5 hours about just eating.
Yeah, we could.
nutrition, man. Anywho, here I am, and that's my story. And now I'm gonna drop the mic.
Thanks, Amanda. I appreciate you sharing a little bit
Absolutely.
with us. And again, Amanda, Hunter, you guys are you guys are fucking goals. I think for dual military couples, for couples that, you know, whether it's spouses who have been pulled into this lifestyle and this community, be it male or female, I think you guys are a prime example of what I hate to say the cliche term, but what right looks like. Like, you guys are working together and killing it every day. Yeah. But I do want to take some time to introduce and talk to the one and only Stone Cold Steve Austin. AKA
Turn to their volume down on their heads.
AKA Austin Wood. If you guys need to reposition to be more comfortable whenever you can. Call sign Hardwood. So most people probably most recently saw Austin on the Brotallion Instagram page in a jean jort type Speedo.
Hell yeah.
It's Morgan, aka Morgan, no longer an intern. Morgan is playing the video on his phone. He's playing it on.
Somewhere in limbo.
Morgan, you're so cute.
Somewhere below 0.
He'll be there soon enough.
In that general area below 0.
Negative range.
But Austin, if you don't mind, go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to get involved with Brotallion, and what you're doing for us.
So I was on Instagram one day, and they were like, "Hey, we're looking for digital designers," and I was like, "Well, I don't know anything about digital design."
You're perfect for it.
But I like drawing stuff, so I did some patches and stuff in flight school. But I was like, I sent all my designs off to get digitally done. I was like, well, I can just get a used iPad and try it out. So I messaged them and I was like, hey, I don't have an iPad or anything to work with. You guys cool with that? They're like, yeah, sure. We'll give you a shot. So Brennan sent me a design to kind of recreate. And then did that, and I sent it to him I think it was 24 hours later. He was like, really? You're done that fast? I was like, yeah. He said, all right, well, here's what I did. And he sends me back the exact same thing. I was like, sweet, all right. Yeah, so I guess he sent it over to them, and then had a phone call like a week later, and then started doing designs.
That's awesome, man. And you are currently your ADOS for the Georgia National Guard, correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing over there?
So full time in the Brigade 3 shops, doing the current operations for the Georgia Aviation Brigade. So, yeah, nothing super crazy.
But you say that, however, I think what you're leaving out is, you're what? Currently a first lieutenant?
Recent captain.
Recent captain, filling a position much significantly higher than what I would say others have in your shoes. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. We are super happy to have you on the team and hanging out here with us. This is the first time I've met you, and I think probably it's the first time most.
I think it's the first time I met everyone here except for Caitlin.
But I think
There's also a lot to be said with the amount of work that he does, and also Brendan, who unfortunately can't be here because life, and him and his wife are getting ready to have a child. They just BCS, they're remodeling their home, all that kind of stuff. But if it weren't for Austin and Brendan, we wouldn't be where we're at this year, because they have helped us scale immensely. I wish I could clone them by 4 or 5 more people, but I can't. So we have 2 of them. They're both fucking awesome people, and so we're both, speaking for me and Brett, super grateful for you guys. I honestly thank you for being a part of the team and for taking the initiative and doing the shit that you guys do. It's incredible. It really, really means a lot.
I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
I think that you say you just met everybody. I think the coolest part about this group, and it was the same way in Austin. Half of us had never met at that point before, and I don't even know that there was ever a single point where that was even weird or awkward or it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I would say a lot of people outside of, I'll say the military, because I think every community in the military has its own little niche and, circle, and people kind of understand each other. But I think it's very special particularly with the Brotallion community, because again, we all have those similar interests. We're all driven to those same things. And so when we come together, it doesn't matter if we knew each other for a day or, a year or 3 years or whatever it is. Like, we all just mesh, and it's super cool. And it is awesome that you're on and doing great things. And I'm sure that that trajectory is only going to continue to increase. And it's awesome to have you here with us, man.
Oh yeah, I've had a great time. Other than yesterday.
What would you say? What would you say your most exciting moment of this weekend has been?
Exciting moment.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, I haven't had any moonshine. Yeah, I would say 2 of the 3 drinks I drank yesterday. And,
Two of the 3.
And Stone Cold Steve Austin them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that is probably a highlight, only replicated by Spencer's circa 2017, 2018 bar top or countertop.
That was 2020.
Oh wow, that was significantly more recent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Shotgun beers in our playoff.
Okay, so that was all of. That was definitely way more recent than I thought, but nonetheless, I think those mirrored actions alone go to say just how closely we all are. But again, man, it's awesome to have you here and to be hanging out with you and Caitlin.
Yeah, I did the shirts for this week.
Yeah, and
Direction came out cool. I was like, we're doing Memorial Day muster. It's going to be our annual treat every year with the team, and this year's 22, and that's what we came up with. Incredible.
If you own a Brotallion t-shirt, like, you can pretty much. So
And Brendan.
There's like a 40% chance.
but
You don't give yourself enough credit.
again, so for those who may not have seen photos or whatever with what this T-shirt design is, it is like a if you could replicate a mixture of like Tron with the Top Gun with like an 80s Top Gun theme, along with like a 1970s South Miami porno vibe. Is probably that is probably the closest.
Best description you could have come.
That's probably the closest description I can get. But they're awesome, man.
There's a
incredible
baseline
work.
when you walk to.
Well, yeah, no, and the mustache really gives it away.
The only thing Caitlin said this entire hour.
That's awesome. Speaking of Caitlin, so totally an aside, yeah, you can pass up. You can pass it off. That's fine.
Give me this one.
Don't let Austin's quietness fool you. He's just tired. That's all. We all saw a different side of him. I know it's pretty wild. You can hears a little differently, right? So Caitlin is Austin's girlfriend. She has a pretty interesting story of her own. Now that, especially hearing from Hunter and hearing from Amanda and, kind of hearing everybody's stories, because I feel like this is probably the first time you've heard everybody and not like just a completely like drunk, joking vibe with each other. I'm more so curious for your impressions as to, what we're doing, your introduction into aviation and how you see it and whatnot from your perspective, given your background. If you want to talk a little bit about your background in marketing and what you're doing for some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess starting off with my background, I work in marketing. I do my 9 to 5 is for a foster care organization. So I'm on the nonprofit side of things, which is very cool being able to connect with that side of things here with what Brotallion's doing. And then I also do freelance marketing for gun companies and other 2A organizations, that type of thing, because that's a big passion of mine. So it's been cool. That sort of connection with you guys comes like very naturally, but getting to know everybody and meet everybody, I mean, I had no idea what to expect because Austin's been here.
That's pretty fair.
Yeah. He's been here, he's been designing for like 4 months and he's talking about all these different people and I'm like, who is who? You know what I mean? Who's who? And then what are we going to be doing and whatnot?
Like a shit ton of Instagram follow requests because we realized how hot she was and basically said, hey, me, Tyler, like Allie, we're all just gonna like,
cheeks, baby.
yeah, we're gonna lesbian for her, so it's fine.
Hell yeah.
Bring them out. Bring them
She was
out.
probably,
You did it.
she
You
probably
did
got,
it.
Did it.
she probably got those requests, and she was like, Austin, what do I do? They're so aggressive. Why are all
They're so aggressive.
No, it made me so excited. Yeah, so I don't know, but getting to sit down and really talk with you guys right now on the podcast and hear like the heart behind everything, I mean, it's cool because obviously we all get along really well, and I think you guys are awesome humans. But getting to hear everybody's stories and like where you came from and the why behind everything, just as sort of outside looking in and like getting to come on this trip, it just goes to show that not only is this an awesome company who has an awesome mission and puts out really cool, like fun products, but the people behind it have like such bigger than them attitudes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just about you guys. It's not about the t-shirts like you were saying earlier. It's really about the mission and the heart and like really serving other people, which is awesome.
Awesome. Now, do you shoot competitively?
Some
Competitively.
competitively. Austin just snorted.
Look at her on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? Say it.
C.M.Brunson.
Do it.
No, it's like
Austin sitting over here
competitively-
like all these random people that are listening to this podcast are about to start looking up my.
competitively, but for fun. Like
That's awesome.
The
So
amount
2
of,
gun, 3 gun.
so mostly just pistol.
Okay.
They used all right. If anybody from Riverbend Gun Club ever listens to this, they used to do 2 gun and they don't anymore. They took it away, and I think it was very rude. But it's okay. Mostly just pistol stuff. I have like a ton of 3rd place plaques. That's like my thing. I'm trying to get like a whole wall of like 3rd place trophies because that seems to be like all I can get. So yeah, competitively, but for fun.
That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here, and it's awesome to.
Hey, it's been
Yeah, it means a lot to everybody that you guys are here, and again, like what you guys are doing is awesome as well. So you keep up the good work, keep hitting those 3rd place plaques.
I will.
And doing what you're doing. So also here with us is Morgan, who spoke last year on the Austin podcast.
A little bit since last time you heard from me.
Yeah, so Morgan. So Morgan is actually.
Sweet 16 this weekend.
Yeah, Morgan is legally able to drink now, which is super cool. So he was actually able to have some fun this weekend with everybody else. But no, in all reality, Morgan is doing some incredible things, is on an awesome journey to become a naval aviator. Ironically, he joins us wearing a Fly Navy shirt on the weekend that Top Gun Maverick is released. Morgan, I would love for you to talk to us about. Obviously, we know that you were a 15 Tango for the Alabama Guard. You went to Auburn. You were an intern with us, and you worked your ass off and were consistently abused by Brett and Spence for quite some time. And oh Jesus. Oh, what the Oh, God. Who photoshopped that? Oh, man. Oh, man. Okay, well, we apologize for the delay. As we're talking to Morgan, a photo surfaced that was my head photoshopped on both myself and Justin Engel's body. So it's just myself hugging myself. That's cool. But Morgan, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about all the cool shit you've been doing. You're now at Pensacola. Talk a little bit about your process through Naval OCS, and then what your future holds.
Yeah, definitely. So starting out, obviously started here as the Brotallion intern while in college. originally it was actually Marine Corps ROTC. Started out at Auburn NRTC, and then from there transitioned over to the Alabama National Guard as originally as a tango in the maintenance company. I got picked up for flight and just started flying, cranking out hours, meeting some really good guys. Alabama National Guard is honestly second to none. Being close to Rucker, there's a lot of MTPs and IPs. That transition and have that really cool mindset, but also really good training and experience that you just can't find anywhere else. Moving on from that, after working with Brotallion and kind of figuring out kind of the route I wanted to go, especially through school, I knew I wanted to drop a pilot packet. I just didn't know where, and I kind of like transitioned between like, what do I want to go warrant for the guard? Do I want to go active? And that's obviously how I was talking with Hunter, I was talking with Brett, I was talking with Spencer, and that's also when I was talking with Justin Engel, fly with Justin.
His future instructor pilot.
Hopefully not going through those. But no, from there, kind of got the gouge from everybody on what would be a good route, and that's how I ended up dropping a flight packet for Navy OCS. Fortunately, got picked up. I found out not too far back when I got back from Greece and Albania. And then from there, I pretty much packed up everything, moved down, all my stuff into storage in Pensacola, and then started the long transition to waiting for OCS. That I went in January to Newport, Rhode Island, and middle of January, obviously snowing, 3 feet of snow, just blizzards. It was absolutely brutal in terms of weather. Navy OCS is definitely a great training resource. They provide it for obviously the people who are priors, even especially like prior sailors. They also provided the civilian aspect too, and also like inter-service transfers. So I think it's an amazing program run by Marine DIs, but also Navy RDCs that allow you to have that equal transition over, but while also learning the Navy traditions and customs. So from there, checked down in here to Pensacola, NAS Pensacola, and just starting the long wait to obviously get through flight school. But honestly, I couldn't do it without Brotallion and also the people that you meet here. It's without, when it really comes down to it, it's the friends and family here, especially to overall get to know the program and also be able to work with everybody. And I couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah, Morgan, it's super awesome to see where you're at. It's a great example of you see something you want and go get it, go take it. I mean, you see it with the Carpenters, myself, Spencer, both prior 03s reverted to warrant. Do what you want for your career and don't let anyone stop you. There's always naysayers out there say it's too much paperwork. It's it's going to be too hard. That's what they say about the creating a nonprofit, and we've done it. So never let anyone stop you. But yeah, Morgan, it's great to see where you're at. We're super excited for you. We're all jealous. I know you got a little bit of a wait going until you get to hit the sticks, but once you do, it's going to be awesome. You're going to love every second of it.
Don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Don't half-ass it.
Don't be above busy.
Yeah.
Or be. Do.
Or be above busy.
And I think that's kind of definitely a big thing too. When it comes down to it, I think as long as it's something you want, there's an avenue to get there. You just have to, like, obviously, like Mr. Spit said, you gotta be a good dude, and you gotta have that support network. But it's definitely, if it's something you want, you just gotta work hard, and you gotta be able to put yourself out there to get it, and also let your intentions known. Because obviously, Brotallion, we have obviously that big family atmosphere. I told them all my goals, and they definitely stayed on top to make sure I was getting all my stuff done, making sure that I was being held accountable. And I think that's kind of a big thing to put out to all the listeners as well, is that let your intentions known to your friends and your family, because then they'll also be able to back you up in times when you don't think you can get it done yourself. Know that you can, because that's obviously something as Hunter's done, and obviously as everyone here has shown that obviously with hard work and determination, you can get where you want. Obviously, you just got to be able to read the paperwork.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. And we are looking forward to seeing you succeed. And I'm sure Justin's really hoping that you don't get F-18s and that you get 60s so that he can teach you how to fly and completely wreck your soul every day.
Just fly that Starboard Delta.
Yep. It'd be great. So again, it's super cool to have everybody here together this weekend. And, you know, we've heard there's obviously a lot more people here than just who we've had talk today. And I wish that we had the time and the dedication from our listeners to have everybody share, you know, more and more of what they want. And honestly, we will have pretty much everybody else in at some point on the podcast. That's something that we're really trying to do, is bring our community in to be part of what we're doing more, and part of what we're putting out to people more, because everybody's experiences vary greatly, and it's really awesome. But the whole purpose that we're here, again, like it's not just about us and our accomplishments and what we're doing as a company. You know, the whole reason that we're here together this weekend is because it's Memorial Day, and because we've all had people who we've either lost in our personal lives, or that we've, you know, seen perish to accidents in aviation or overseas or whatever it is. And we can drink and we can have a good time and we can, you know, do all these things. But at the end of the day, everything that we do and everything that we set out to do is because of them and because of the impact that they had on our lives and the legacies they've left behind. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that we're trying to drive home with what we're doing.
Yeah, Nick, you said it best, man. The way that Spencer and I are thinking, you know, it's not if, it's when the next occurrence happens, and we need to be prepared to support the community to do that. So moving into the last 2 quarters of this year and the next year, we're really trying to ramp up operations of the Blue Skies Foundation to support, you know, the inevitable event. It is, like you said, it is Memorial Day weekend. We had a little fundraiser and we met our goal. So thank you, especially Rob Purdy out there. Thank you so much for all the support. You know, another thing kind of that's really important is, you know, the success of the for-profit drives the nonprofit. The nonprofit's the ultimate why. So thank you to everyone out there that supports us. The big thing we wanted to get out of this weekend was to show support and our love and gratitude to all the people that make it happen. Spence and I, you know, are always looking kind of long-term, but as far as the current operations go, everyone in this room is making it happen. So thank you so much for coming down. We love you guys. Super grateful. We wouldn't be where we are without you. So
well said, man. And for the people out there who are looking to get involved and are looking for a Brotallion event to go to, don't worry. There is one that is currently being planned for next spring. If you have questions about that specifically or want to find out more info as it's being put out, you can hit up Brittany Delore at bdelore on Instagram, or at Brittany at Brotallion, or Brittany at Brotallion Blue Skies Foundation.com, and ask any particular questions, or if you want to specifically find out how you can become involved, help out with the planning of that event or anything of that nature. And I'm sure she will use the help. She killed it last year at Austin, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic next year when we can actually tell people on a banner, "Welcome to Nashville," and it be a factual statement.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up with kind of talking about the future of events and the foundation as we continue to try and scale the organization and support these families that we talk about. So daringly, we wanted to start doing a couple events a year. We did it was not a black tie event. It was, I don't know, a semi-formal whatever thing in Austin. It's just like anything else. You do it the first time, you learn some shit, you fuck some stuff up, you get some sustains, you move on, you improve. So the plan is to do the next one in Nashville, probably spring of next year, so 2023. And the overall future is going to look like we will do a formal event and probably a golfing event. So 2 events for those of you that can't count like Lance every year. The golf event will probably be like Blue Skies for Birdies or Birdies for Blue Skies, something like that. Do a little play on words. We'll probably bump all around the country because we know that we've got folks all over the country, all over the world, depending on where you're stationed, what you do, who you are. Potentially looking at Palm Desert for the first location for that. So anybody that's familiar with that area, you can go ahead and start planning for that. Realistic timeline doesn't exist yet, but I think that either late 2023 or early 2024 would be realistic.
Gotcha.
We've got some great mentors and a really great dude in Owls Lacrosse. Any lax people that fly helicopters and are into that kind of shit, check out Owls Lacrosse. They're a nonprofit that are doing really great fucking things for underprivileged children in the Chicago area through academics and athletics, which I'm a huge proponent of. And the fucking dude that runs it is an awesome guy, and he has volunteered a significant amount of his time to help mentor Brett and Hunter with how we are growing the organization, the nonprofit organization that is. So they're really great people. And yeah, if you like to fucking crush beers and crush the links, then look forward to Berries for Blue Skies in the future. And then if you like to just get dressed up for good cause and hang out with good people, then we'll see you in Nashville in, what, a year? A little bit less than that?
a little bit less than a year.
Cool.
And don't think you have to be good at golf.
No, I'm fucking terrible at golf.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
just go ahead and
just,
preface.
Just the purpose of it. But
With goofy pants and a fat ass.
There you go.
But again, we do want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to join us and hang out with us and hear a little bit more about things and the people who make all of this happen. Because again, none of this would be possible without all of them. And honestly, none of this would be possible without you guys. So until next time, thanks again for joining us on the Pilots Lounge. We can't wait to see you guys here soon.